Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while. I've just had such a crazy month and I had so many movies to catch up with, but I've decided to start here with a review for MaXXXine, of course, the concluding piece of Ti West's horror trilogy. Or is it actually the end of a trilogy now? I'm not sure. I've seen some notes saying that if this film did well, he might actually go on to do something a little bit more after that as well. So we'll see. But for now, it's the finish of an extremely strong trilogy of horror films from the 2020s. Now, the bar was set extremely high. I think with X and Pearl, they're just two of the best horror films we've had in the last 10 years, easily, I think. I absolutely loved those movies, so I was really excited for MaXXXine. Probably my most highly anticipated horror movie of the year. Actually, maybe second to Alien Romulus, but I was very, very excited for it, and I thought the trailers looked great. Now, the bar was definitely set high with X and Pearl, so unfortunately I have been a little bit disappointed with MaXXXine. It's not to say that I don't think it's good. I actually think it's a really fun horror movie and I still very much enjoyed it. But unfortunately, I would say it is the weakest of the trilogy. Again, this is only on a first watch. I did only just watch it at the cinema last few nights ago now. But I think from my first time viewing, it would easily sit at the bottom of the three. But don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of really great stuff about this. So getting into a bit of the story here, this one is of course following MaXXXine, the character from X, a few years into the future where she's now living in Hollywood, still working within the porn business and trying to make her break into like full feature films. Like her dreams of being famous she's trying to fulfill. And at the same time that all this is going on, her past is coming back to bite her. She's got somebody following her who knows about everything that happened back on that ranch during X, and there's also a little bit of like a murder mystery story going on at the same time, and people are dying all around her. So it's quite an interesting premise for the film. It was a nice place, I think, to take the character from there, so I really liked the setup, and I'm happy that the trailer did not give anything away about this. And like I said, still really enjoyed. There's still a lot of good stuff to definitely recommend about it. I think like with X and Pearl, you know, those movies had a very distinct style, even though they were set in different periods and going for like a different tone to them. Obviously one being set in the 70s, and with Pearl, I believe, is it the 20s or the 30s that being set in. So you're kind of dealing with a different period of time, but you know, they do have a very distinctive feel about them. They feel like a Ti West horror movie, and that's very much the same with MaXXXine. Of course, here being set in the 80s, and it's, you know, he gives it this really authentic feel where the amount of detail and all the costumes and the set design and everything like that, it's incredibly detailed. It really does make you feel like you are in that period of time. And this is actually not like the sort of It and Stranger Things vibe with everything being, you know, very neon and colourful, and the kind of place that really entices you and makes you feel like you wanted to live during that era. This is kind of showing a bit more of the darker and the grittier side of that, where everything's a little bit more sleazy here. Obviously, it's telling the story of, you know, upcoming actresses trying to make it in Hollywood, playing the tough game of basically doing whatever you have to do in order to secure yourself a big role. And it very much shows you the harsher and grimmer side of 80s Hollywood. But I did love all the detail. I loved the setting of this place, and I did like following these characters in the story. Of course, Mia Goth again. I mean, Mia Goth is so amazing. I've loved her, and she's just one of the great new like horror actresses. From everything from Cure for Wellness, you had last year the Brandon Cronenberg film Infinity Pool. With X and Pearl as well, you know, she really is just a force of nature, and I love watching her. I do think, unfortunately, she's a little bit let down here by the character of MaXXXine she's playing, just because Pearl is such a wild and insane character and so fascinating to watch. I feel like she just had a little bit more to do with it. Whereas with MaXXXine, she's still likeable as a person, but I think she actually was more interesting within a group dynamic where she had more characters to kind of bounce off as well. Whereas here, she's very much solo. She's living her own life now, doing her own thing, and you're just following her and herself. And unfortunately, I don't think she's anywhere as near an interesting character as someone like Pearl. So just because of the nature of that, obviously Mia Goth gets more to do with Pearl and gets to go more off the rails with her. So I kind of slightly preferred her performance back then, but like always, she's still really, really great to watch. Something I really enjoyed actually in the first half was the whole plot involving Kevin Bacon's character. You know, I think he really plays great villainous roles. He has just something about him where he always looks like he's really having fun with it, and I just find him so entertaining to watch in these kind of more evil type roles. And watching the back and forth between him and MaXXXine and how they're kind of playing with each other, and you know, he's giving her a really hard time and she keeps fighting him off and surprising him. I loved all the kind of interactions between them and how crazy it gets. So I definitely had a lot of fun with that, and I think if he had been kind of a bigger, like more prevalent throughout the whole runtime, I think I would have had more fun with it, because that was definitely the strongest part of the story for me. And definitely, you know, like with the others, this I mean, it's a horror film. It's definitely not as scary, this one. Again, it's more like a thriller, I suppose. But there are still a lot of gory, gnarly kills in this. I keep feeling like this trilogy is more of a mainstream horror, just because the amount of attention it's got and the positive reviews and how many people are talking about it. But when you actually watch them again, you're like, these are pretty gnarly. They're hardcore horror movies, lots of gore, lots of really nasty kills. A particular one at the beginning as well, the first, I don't actually know if it's a kill, but the first thing that happens to one of the guys, it's a bit of a stomach churner. So yeah, if you like all that stuff, there's a lot of fun to be had with all of that here. If you've read anything about MaXXXine so far in the reviews for it, I'm sure one of the big negatives you'll have seen people talking about is the fact that the twist, or rather the reveal of who the killer ends up being, is just ridiculously predictable. It's one of those things where there's some scenes set up early on in MaXXXine that it's like, if they weren't to tell you about what's really going on with this murder mystery, what the hell are they there for? So that's why it ends up just being unbelievably obvious what turns out to be what's going on. And that will definitely put some people off. I mean, I don't usually get bothered by this kind of stuff. I'm not somebody who sits there trying to guess every single plot twist and what's going on. I kind of like to let the story play out naturally and let myself go along with the mystery rather than just constantly trying to work out what's happening. But even still, I found it a little bit jarring how obvious this kind of through-line twist ended up being. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But beyond that, just the way that whole sort of final 20 minutes plays out, I just found it got way too over the top, kind of cartoonish and just too silly. Like, I feel like they're trying to he's trying to recreate again what they did with X. Like, if you remember all of the, you know, when you start to find out what's really going on in that ranch and how it all plays out, it's really wild and over the top, and it's almost kind of humorous in a way, just because of how insane it all is. But something about it still works. It still feels kind of serious in a way. It's still creepy. Whereas here, I just feel like it's over the top and it doesn't really have any other impact to go along with that. So I started to feel like I was checking out a little bit towards that end section. Again, because up till there, I was having a lot of fun and really enjoying the film. So definitely still an entertaining movie. I still had a lot of fun with it and I will watch it again. But I just think because the bar was set so high with X and Pearl, they just come across as much better films. They felt a bit more focused to me, and what Ty West was trying to go for with them, it just ended up working a lot better. So a little bit disappointing finishing off this trilogy, but don't get me wrong, still a good movie and one you should still go and check out. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 rating. So that's my review and all my thoughts for you on MaXXXine. I have tried to keep it as spoiler free as possible. I'm sorry. It's kind of difficult to talk about movies like this without really getting into any of the details. But if you have seen the movie, please do let me know all of your thoughts below down in the comment section. And also please subscribe to the channel as well and like the video if you've been enjoying my content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.